You sent a lot of excellent questions in. I'm really excited about that. Hey, Facebook. Hey, LinkedIn. Hey, YouTube. Send those questions in. Don't be afraid. You know, the questions came in a little later last time. Ask the questions. We're going to be answering questions all day on Tuesday. If we miss you, put it in the comment section. I will get an answer to you via the comment section, direct messenger. In addition, I'm really excited because we've got a load of really good questions in a short period of time. Before we start, as always, let me know where you're from. Let me know who's joining us. We've got a bunch of people on already. Let me know where you're from. Let's see. I see New Jersey. We always have New Jersey. Connecticut. Look out. Delaware. Looks like we're being populated by the Northeast right now. Let's get some other regions of the U.S. coming. Arizona. Excellent. Toronto. Yes. New York of the North. Texas. Well, part of Texas. Texas is a pretty big state, guys. Come on, I'm geographically sound. Tell me what city in Texas. Tell me what town in Texas. Is it San Antonio? Is it Dallas? Is it Austin? What do we have? Let me know. Share with me. What do you say, TikTok? Don't forget, tap, tap. Give me a tap, tap on TikTok. Chicago. We got all the big cities going here. And everybody knows I'm right outside New York City. I'm in Westchester County. I grew up in New York City, as everybody knows. No New York accent, no doubt. Arlington. Okay, we got Arlington, Virginia. Arlington, Texas. Excuse me. All right. There is an Arlington, Virginia, so please don't throw any shade at me. All right, let's dig in. So question number one that was sent in was, what are some of the emerging longevity trends that I am most excited about? Well, number one, I'm excited about the fact that people are thinking about longevity and starting to think about health. So my overall theme is I'm pumped about that. I'm stoked that people are doing that. And the number one thing that I'm excited about is people are having a conversation like this, where to start. And where to start is, as Hippocrates once said, let food be your medicine. Let medicine be your food. That's a great place to start. We start that way every time we get live. Let's talk about some food. So what's the new big deal? What can we talk about food that we didn't talk about last week? I'll be honest with you. We got to talk about fiber again. There's more and more data on fiber every week coming out. Fiber is a good prebiotic. Fiber is going to feed the gut. There's been a decrease in mortality from an increase in fiber. Americans don't eat enough fiber. We both want both soluble and insoluble fiber. Oh, wow. We got someone from Budapest, Hungary. Outstanding. My Italian's really bad, but there's a term that they use in Italian called dolce far niente. And my Italian friends say, yes, they enjoy the fact of doing nothing. So the idea of being able to relax, great choice, being able to relax, being part of a community now are some of the great items that I'd like to adhere to. Some of the other emerging longevity trends that I like to speak about are hot and cold. So hormesis, the stress to the body, you know, the sauna, the hot, where we release those heat shock proteins, in the cold, where we release those cold shock proteins. These are really good choices and things to do. In addition to that, we finally talked a little bit more about the idea of muscle mass. Muscle mass, more so than anything else, is the baseline for longevity. It is a key organ. However, as we go up the step ladder of longevity, it's muscle mass, it's muscle to fat ratio, and at the top tier, at the paramount, at least I should say, would definitely be VO2 max, the ability to perform, strength and grip strength and power and performance. That's great. I'm getting some love from somebody. Thank you, Dr. Rob. You're the best. I appreciate that. Any other questions on the lives? Good enough. So the second one is, they're trying to get a little personal. Do you have your personal longevity hacks? Would you share them, and what are they? So you want to know what I do, and you want to know what I take. No problem. Here's what I do. As everybody knows, I adhere to certain foods. I am flexible. I am not as rigid as everybody thinks, but here's what I avoid without question. Number one, I avoid gluten. There is no way you're going to stick gluten down this person's mouth with me knowing about it. Do I take the bullet or do I take the gluten? That's a good question, but no gluten. And the reason is the protein in gluten damages your gut, whether you have celiac, whether you're sensitive, or whether you're not to any of the above. So no gluten, especially gluten made in America. Gluten made in America has glyphosate. Gluten made in America is hybridized. So let's avoid gluten. So no gluten. I'm going to avoid some processed food or ultra processed food. As you all know, 63% of the calories we consume comes from processed food. And I'm not going to eat something that has added sugar. That doesn't mean I'm not going to have some sugar. I like sugar as much as everybody. I like my coffee sweet, as everybody knows. Yes, and coffee is my elixir vitae without question. You got to get some weight resistance. So I try and lift, I'm in my mid to later 50s already. So I want to, everybody's they're giggling at me. My God, if I told you how much they would be breaking my chops about that, what are you going to do when you turn 60? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to work. I'm going to put a smile on my face. I'm going to drink my organic coffee, and I'm going to help the health paradigm without question. That's what I'm going to do. Now that we covered that, weight resistance. I make sure that I lift weights at least 3 to 4 times a week, minimum of 3, upwards of 4. After 4, I just can't do it anymore. I try and exercise every day. I try and get some flexibility training in as much as I can. Cardiovascular is a big hack for me. And of course, the weight resistance, because without the weight resistance, I'm going to lose the muscle mass, etc. Some other things that are very personal to me are specific ideas like recovery. So I've got a Normatec at home. I've got a PEMF. Everybody knows I use laser therapy. I utilize that for myself. I have my own sauna. I try and take cold showers, and I do supplement. Now, I do use, without question, a plethora of different supplements. To list them all, people would get crazy. Let me hit the high points. I take a methylated B vitamin. I take an omega-3 fatty acid with pro-resolving mediators. I take a vitamin D3 with K2. I take 2 different probiotics and 1 probiotic with a prebiotic. I also take alpha lipoic acid. I take some peptides, if you will. And the peptide that comes to mind that everybody knows and heard me talk about, yes, I am, without question, a BPC 157 guy. I saw what Andrew Huberman did. I thought it was great. I don't know why anybody throws any shade on BPC 157. It is a peptide that I found to be extremely effective with myself and my male and female patients alike. It helps with angiogenesis, allowing new blood vessels to grow. It also helps with a lot of delayed onset muscle soreness. No injuries with this broken down asymmetrical body since we've taken BPC 157 over the last 2 years. That's a big thing. I'm able to get to the gym and go to the gym. Question is, what sauna do you use? And the other question is BPC 157 okay to take as an oral? The answer is yes. I don't know where this all came from. Yes, an oral is fine. That's how I take it. I'm not allowed to inject. I don't seek out injections. I have no problem with injections. The oral is fine. Dr. Huberman did a great job. He talked about the bulk of the literature being in animals, but there are 1 or 2 human studies. You're not going to see a ton of human studies coming out for reasons that are beyond this conversation. But I can tell you empirically, it's been without question, empirically and personally, a thumbs up. No doubt about it. So I do like the BPC 157. I've also found it to be excellent for patients who are suffering from long COVID, concussion, and without question, helping for gut health. So those are some of the supplements I take. I try and eat within an intermittent fast. I'm a big believer of 14 hours of fasting and about 10 hours of feeding. I do still try and get 3 quality square meals. I'm really trying to decrease or not snack at all, because if I have to snack, it means I haven't eaten enough. I adhere to a flexitarian type diet, my flexitarian diet. So in my flexitarian diet, it is plant forward, about 75 to 80%. And the other 20 to 25% is proteins. I was having a conversation with my wife the other night, and I thought that she had substituted all the plant proteins for the meat proteins. And she had added plant protein in addition to the meat protein, which is what I want. I don't believe that or at least it works for me, to substitute the plant proteins as a basis for the animal, egg, poultry type protein. So I think that pretty much covers, what I do. I try and work every day, because if I don't, I'm a type AAA personality. I will drive the world insane if I don't have something to do. Are we good? Nobody else reached out? Okay. How do we improve our immune system on a daily basis? It has been stated that turning on the health switches, or at least balancing the health switches, is the key to longevity. I do believe the master switch for longevity is turning on a robust, resilient immune system, or at least having a robust and resilient immune system. So immune resilience, we discussed that in a few different lives. The idea of resilience is interesting in that it's your ability to ward off and to be able to move around and be flexible to different types of pathogens. So your ability to be resistant and resilient really is a key element to the immune system. There was another question that somebody asked me, which was interesting, about the idea of immune resilience and adaptability, and what key supplements would you do? Where here are your basic immune systems. And then I saw a question about long COVID. Just to keep your immune system strong, here are your basics to basically balance your innate and your adaptive immune system, which are the two immune systems that need to be in balance and functioning high to give yourself the needed defense. Number one, vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin D. Wow, what a surprise. Make sure they're methylated. We discussed what methylation is. In addition to that, the literature bears out that you would add zinc, magnesium, and omega-3 fatty acids to stimulate the innate immune system. The same holds true if you want to get the adaptive immune system. The only change from omega-3s, you would add pro-resolving mediators. Somebody said to me, what's your feeling on a lot of vaccines? And as you guys all know, I don't enter into the vaccine genre of the conversation because it's out of my purview. But here's what I will say in reference to antibodies. A lot of antibodies, an overabundance of antibodies, has showed to increase the incidence of leaky gut. So antibodies have their place. There are defense mechanisms, but too many of them can actually start to become deleterious. So got a good question. Garrett, how are you? Thanks for asking a question. I'm looking at my laptop right now. He had a question yesterday about long COVID. Any thoughts on lab protocol that would be sufficient to determine immune inflammatory issue is present and protocols known to best help? Okay, so there is a company in North Carolina. The name of it escapes me. I will put it in the comments section, where they actually have a long COVID index outstanding. Also, you want to see what kind of inflammatory markers are elevated. The markers on a standard serum blood test, which are also covered in this blood test, are interleukin-6, interleukin-1 beta, interleukin-8, and TNF-alpha. You see these elevated, you know that you've got an inflammatory condition. For long COVID, let me give you my super 5 supplements to take without question. Number one, I said it just before, BPC 157, body protection compound. That would be number one. Number two now, creatine, believe it or not. Creatine has robust studies to show that it helps with both short and long-term memory, also really strongly helping the immune system. L-glutathione, another great choice. It's your master antioxidant. L-glutathione, I'm pausing for thought because I want to have some clarity on this. I'm a big proponent of L-glutathione and not glutathione, because liposomal glutathione is going to get into the cell. Glutathione could be killed with the stomach acid. So you want glutathione in a liposomal form. Number 4, vitamin D. My goodness, vitamin D. Every day I open up a book, I see more information on vitamin D. Vitamin D shouldn't be called a vitamin. It should be called a hormone. It's a steroid hormone. 70% of Americans are deficient in vitamin D. Vitamin D gets into a receptor site that actually affects the nucleus in the DNA and can turn genes on and off. 5% of our genome is controlled by vitamin D. And lastly, how could you go wrong without pre and probiotics? So that's my super 5 for long COVID. Anything else online? Okay. What are the most common culprits of leaky gut? Well, the list would be too long. We'd be here for a day. Let me share some common culprits. Number 1, antibiotics. Number 2, PPIs, proton pump inhibitors. Number 3, gluten, dairy, sugar, stress, environmental toxins, concussion, food sensitivities, food emulsifiers, food additives, colorings, lectins if you're allergic to them, medications. So the list goes on and on and on. There's many things that can damage the permeability or increase the permeability to your gut. As we all know, 80% of your immune cells are in your gut. It's where your macro and micronutrients are absorbed. Everybody should consider taking a good quality pre and probiotic. And lastly, to finish up, everybody knows that I'm a laser therapist. I love using my Arcona GVL. There was a question sent in, and here's my laser question. Tinnitus, do I have a protocol? You know, it's funny about tinnitus. I did not have a protocol 6 months ago for it. I'm at a seminar, I'm teaching, and somebody asks, and I don't have it. I really never treated it before. And they looked at me and they said, do you realize that 10% of the population has ringing in their ears? And my heart dropped. I mean, here I am practicing 24 plus years, not having a protocol for 10% of the population, which is in my purview. So it took me about 3 months to come up with it. I've been using it the last 3 months. I want to share it with you. So if you have any kind of ring in the ear, seek out an Arconia laser. This is a GVL. It's green violet laser. And the protocol real simply is apply it into the ear canal for 3 minutes. Ipsilateral temporal lobe for 3 minutes and 1 minute to the cerebellum. You do those 3 spaces, those 3 spots, you're going to see a great clinical outcome. I just applied that this weekend to 4 different people in the class, and each one of them had a 50% or greater increase. I'm not promising you that. I'm just saying in that setting, those 4 people had a precipitous change that was quite positive. Here are some of the supplements I would recommend also: ginkgo biloba, zinc, B12, melatonin, magnesium, and pre and probiotics. Well, every Tuesday, I will be here without question. Give me that tap, tap. Don't forget. Instagram, I look forward to seeing you again. My triple Facebook with LinkedIn and YouTube. Let me know. Keep those questions flowing in. Let's keep this health conversation going. Next week, I'll be here, same time, same bat channel, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Till then,